I'm passionate about this, so it's hard to talk about. But 1 in 4 kids will experience trauma, whether in their young years, their adolescent years, before they become adults. 1 in 4 children will be exposed to trauma. And that is why it should be mandatory for teachers, educators, coaches, guidance counselors, and after school professionals, as well as foster parents, to have trauma informed care training. I think that the system is failing the youth by not ensuring the adults in their life are equipped to best serve them. Childhood trauma isn't something that you just experience and move through life with and it just disappears. It's deeper than that. It affects brain development, it affects ability to show up academically. Kids who experience trauma are more likely to make attempts on or take their own lives. They're more likely to end up addicted to drugs or alcohol. They're more likely to end up homeless and incarcerated. So these kids, not by their fault, already are entering the world with the chips and the cards stacked against them. And then the places that they spend most of their time, school, sports, after school programs during the school year. You're in school for 7 hours a day. Then you go to an after school program for 3, 4 hours a day. You go home, you eat dinner, you take a shower, and you go to bed. You're not spending a lot of time with your family. And for these kids, the people that are their family or meant to protect them are the people who are causing them the trauma. So when they do go to these schools and these after school programs and these sports, it's likely that they are considering this the only place they can be a kid, the only place they're allowed to be safe. But because the teachers and the educators and the coaches and the guidance counselors aren't held to a standard where they need to know how to spot a kid who's experiencing childhood trauma, understanding that that kid that you think is just a bad kid might not be a bad kid, but a kid that is getting abused in the home and needs somebody to pay him an extra attention, to sit him down, to talk to him, to listen, to redirect him, to give him leisure play, to allow him to be a child and navigate the things that he's going through. Or that kid that is isolating and shy, is afraid to speak because of the things that are going on in our household. But because our teachers and our educators and our professionals in this field aren't required to have this training, they aren't equipped to best support the youth. And it's not their fault. It's not their fault. I've spoken to many teachers, I've spoken to many after school program professionals, many nonprofit organizations, and they all agree that they believe that this should be necessary, but it's not. Right? So I think that I am, instead of just being angry and, being mad at the system, I'm going to provide the information. My training, Trauma to Triumph, is designed so these people have access to the tools and the resources so they can better support our youth. It's more than just knowing that this kid is a foster kid, but it's knowing how to recognize if the behavior they're presenting is a result of their trauma, supporting them through that trauma, and being able to recommend higher care of services if it is necessary so this kid can deal with the trauma before it becomes an issue down the line, leading to one of those things that I mentioned before: homelessness, attempting on their own life, depression, anxiety, incarceration, drug addiction, etc. So many kids are slipping through the cracks because they're problem children, or it's easier to turn a blind eye because I don't know how to handle that, opposed to us providing them with the information. So I'm going to provide the information. I'm going to post every week details on how to notice trauma in a child, how to react, respond, and support trauma in a child, how to teach them coping mechanisms so they can deal with these things that are going on, and give you resources so you can better educate yourself, in addition to lean on to people who already have the tools to support you as we support our kids. As a community, it is our job to make sure these kids are protected, safe, seen, heard, and can operate as their higher self. And they can't do so if the adults around them aren't prepared to serve them, aren't prepared to support them in the best way possible, regardless of the situation that they are going through at home. So if you're interested in being part of the solution instead of the problem, make sure you subscribe, comment below. I want to be a part of the change because what you do matters. I had some teachers that played amazing roles that showed up for me in ways that I needed. But even in that, they didn't know the deep rooted trauma that I was experiencing and how to support me, how I needed. I ended up incarcerated. I ended up addicted. I ended up trying to take my own life. I ended up homeless. So I think that people want to do better. They just don't have the tools. So I'm going to provide you with the tools. My name's Kalia, and I'm your Trauma to Triumph trainer. Follow along for this series so we can better support the youth of today and have better, stronger leaders of tomorrow. I love you.